In the previous video, we explored various perspectives throughout the history of psychology. In this video, we now turn our attention to contemporary psychology. What are the kinds of questions that psychologists today are interested in? Before we get started, it's important to remember something pretty obvious. You are complex. You have a physical body, a conscious mind, and you engage in outwardly observable behavior. All of that is nested within your surrounding social and physical environment. We can refer to these as different levels of psychological functioning, and they can all interact and influence each other. For example, your neurotransmitters, part of your physical body, might be related to your mood, your conscious experience, which in turn might influence your behavior to some degree. However, research has also shown that it can work in the reverse direction too. Intentionally changing your conscious thoughts and outward behaviors can also create changes in your brain's physiological functioning as well. It's safe to say that looking at all of these variables at once would be pretty overwhelming. Therefore, psychologists today usually specialize at just one or two of these levels. As a result, contemporary psychology is a highly diverse field that encompasses many related, yet unique specialty areas that each have their own emphasis. Let's look at some of the main specialty areas that psychologists today focus on and that you might be interested in if you decide to explore a career related to psychology. Biopsychology focuses on, you guessed it, how our biology influences our thinking and behavior. A biological psychologist might look at research questions relating to sensory and motor systems, sleep, drug use and abuse, neurodevelopment, plasticity of the nervous system, and biological correlates of psychological disorders. Given these broad areas of interest, individuals from all sorts of backgrounds are involved in this research, including biologists, medical professionals, physiologists, and chemists. This interdisciplinary approach is often referred to as neuroscience, of which biological psychology is a component. As discussed in the previous video, cognitive psychology is the area of psychology that focuses on studying cognitions, or thoughts, and their relationship to our experiences and our actions. Cognitive psychologists might be interested in things like attention, problem solving, language, and memory. Developmental psychology is a scientific study of development across the lifespan. Developmental psychologists are interested in physical changes associated with aging, as well as changes in cognitive skills, moral reasoning, social behavior, and other psychological attributes. In fact, one famous developmental researcher, Jean Twenge, is interested in how the advent of smartphones has potentially caused generational shifts between Gen Zers and older generations. Social psychology focuses on how we interact with and relate to others. Social psychologists conduct research on a wide variety of topics, including attitudes, aggression, altruism, prejudice, attraction, and relationship dynamics. Personality psychology focuses on patterns of thoughts and behaviors that make each individual unique. We have already talked about some individuals, such as Freud, who contributed to early theories of personality. More recently, the study of personality has taken on a more quantitative approach. Rather than trying to explain how personality arises, which can be a little bit subjective and vary from person to person, today research is more focused on identifying broad personality traits, measuring those traits, and determining how those traits might interact in a particular context to influence how somebody might respond. Industrial organizational, or IO psychology, is a subfield of psychology that applies psychological theories, principles, and research to the workplace. IO psychologists are often involved in issues related to personnel management, organizational structure, and work environment. Also, as discussed in the previous video, cross-cultural psychology is a relatively new specialty area that explores the similarities and differences in thinking and behavior between individuals from different cultures. For example, cross-cultural psychologists might compare things like attitudes, beliefs, emotions, or mental health across people from different ethnic or socioeconomic backgrounds. Clinical and counseling psychology are closely related areas. Clinical psychology is generally more focused on the diagnosis and treatment of individuals with psychological disorders and other problematic patterns of behavior. Counseling psychology, in contrast, is usually more focused on helping otherwise psychologically healthy individuals explore important emotional, social, vocational, and health-related outcomes. At Virginia Tech, we have many talented faculty who are interested in some of the questions and specialty areas we just outlined. Specifically, our psychology graduate program consists of 4 main concentration areas or specialties: cognitive neuroscience and biopsychology, clinical science, developmental science, and industrial organizational psychology. If you'd like to learn more about these concentration areas, you can click on the links on the slide or visit the psychology department's website. In the supplemental videos section in Canvas, you can also check out some short videos from some of our psychology faculty who will talk about their research. If you are a psychology major and you're interested in joining a research lab at some point, this could be a great way to find one that aligns with your interests. While psychologists can be interested in different topic areas, they can also differ in whether their work is more experimental, that is, more focused on conducting original research, versus more applied, or focused more on applying relevant research to real-world problems. For example, when you think of a clinical or counseling psychologist, your first thought might be of somebody who works in a more applied setting and whose time is mostly spent working with patients. However, some clinical psychologists, especially those in academia, are more interested in doing experimental work that broadens our theoretical understanding of different mental disorders and the efficacy of their associated treatments. This would be a more experimental focus. Psychologists can also hold a job that involves a mix of both applied and experimental work, although they will typically lean one direction or the other. Many of your psychology professors here at Tech have a more experimental focus in that they spend the majority of their time conducting basic research. However, faculty can also be involved in some level of applied work, such as doing outside consulting for a company or engaging in community outreach. If you are a psychology major, you might be wondering, what can you do with a psychology degree? In fact, there are many things you can do with a degree in psychology, although some require advanced training, such as master's or doctorate level degrees. For example, psychologists might conduct research, teach, provide direct mental health services, work in industry, or any combination of the above.